Welcome back to the briefing room. I'm your host, Chief David Malloy, and I'm joined here on set with Detective Mike Wilson, who is part of our investigative detective bureau here in the city of Novi. Mike, before the break, we were talking about larceny from automobiles, probably the number one largest property crime complaint that we have here in Novi. Talk to us a little bit about how those numbers have been reduced and some of the strategies that we've utilized in terms of reducing the number of those complaints.
Well, right now for this year, 2010, we're at 150 complaints. Last year we were at 369 total for the year. The year before we were at 489. We're looking at more for patterns in the Detective Bureau. We're actively seeking information from other criminals that have been arrested. We pass this information on to our surveillance teams. We actively try to track the property that's been stolen so we can develop suspects and make the arrests.
As part of your analysis, what are you seeing in terms of locked cars versus unlocked cars? What's the trend right now in terms of that?
Right now, year to date, 53% of the cars that have been broken into were unlocked, or they had their windows open. They were accessible to the bad guys. And
if individuals just took a chance or took the moment to lock that car, make sure those windows are rolled up, stow that iPod or the GPS unit or whatever out of sight, I mean, we could see even greater reductions than what we already have.
Absolutely. We could probably cut our crime rate in half.
Outstanding. What is the most common way that the vehicles are being entered other than unlocked vehicles?
If the vehicle's locked, they are either punching a door lock or more commonly is smashing a window out. They'll smash the window out. And when these guys are out looking, they probably got a little flashlight. Most of these crimes are happening at night. They little flashlight looking through cars. If they see something they want, they're going to take it.
I know a majority of our reports, typically 11:30 at night till about 6 or 7 in the morning. That's the time frame that is reported. But what's the actual time frame that people are looking at in terms of when are these things happening?
If I had to pick a time, I would say between 1 and 3 o'clock in the morning.
Okay. So if people are coming home, if someone works an afternoon shift and they're coming home, or you're at an event and you're coming home, what should they look for, and what action should they take?
They should call us immediately. If they see a stranger, if they see someone, they think they saw someone, these guys will cut through the yards. They don't try to walk down the sidewalks when they're doing this. And typically someone will be driving a car. They'll drop 2 or 3 guys off. Maybe one guy drops, the other guy drives, and they'll send someone out on foot. If they hear a noise, I can't tell you how many times I've followed up with the victims. I heard a noise about 2:30 in the morning. I just didn't get up and look. The dog was barking at 2:30 in the morning. I heard something. That's the time to call us. We will respond, and if it's nothing, we'll check it out and leave.
And I think that message needs to really get out there. If you feel that there's a situation that's suspicious, or if it doesn't feel right, or it's just out of the normal mode of what happens in your neighborhood, because the residents know their neighborhoods best. You and I both know what's going on in our neighborhood, and if there's a suspicious vehicle in the area or a new group of kids are running in the area, we pick up on that. And those are the things that if these kids are out at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, there's really nothing that really good is going to come out of that.
No. And at minimum, a police car drives down your street looking for someone. That's going to probably scare that person. They're going to leave.
Recently, you and one of your partners were involved in a successful investigation where a suspect in the city of Troy was actually believed to be committing larceny from automobile complaints here in Novi. Tell us how that case came to fruition. I realize there's some investigative things, strategies that we can't discuss, but you actually went and interviewed this suspect, and what was the result of that?
We interviewed him in the Oakland County Jail, and he ultimately confessed to stealing 2 purses out of 1 car in Novi at our middle school. And his mode of operation was he would drive around during the day, and he would actually look for cars that had their door locks up, so he would know that car is unlocked.
So this isn't necessarily someone who's walking or crawling in between vehicles. This is someone who's just maybe driving around what appears to be looking for a parking spot, but they are recognizing when people leave those doors unlocked.
He's looking for the little things, yep. And he said he was looking for events where there was multiple people.
In terms of some of the numbers that we have, I know that you mentioned we had 150 plus larceny from autos year to date thus far in 2010. Talk a little bit about how those patterns evolve. It's not really 150 different incidents, but really we have a majority of them that are committed by a very small few perpetrators. Talk about that, and so the residents know that we don't have 150 different criminals, but how those groups work.
Well, if you four nights, let's say 4 nights was 40 complaints. So the thieves came in and hit multiple targets on the same night. So we could take 40 of them right there. There's a whole bunch of other ones where 2 or 3 happen in one night. And for instance, the guy we got the confession from, he's not even from Novi. And there are teams of people that are driving great distances just to break into cars.
In traffic enforcement, I know when you were a uniformed police officer, and we continue to emphasize it with our men and women in our uniform division, is that these people aren't always from Novi. Granted, every once in a while we will apprehend a couple teens or youth or young adults who may be responsible, but a lot of these people are traversing into Novi, don't really recognize it, but we've also had people that we've interviewed who say, I'm staying out of Novi because I know those guys and gals are tough on us. Talk to us a little bit about your experience with that.
I've talked to many guys in jail that we've arrested, and they say that we're known as, we write a lot of tickets, you guys are the tough police, you're going to stop me. I stay out of that area because of that. And our guys out on the streets making traffic stops at night are finding cars that have 5, 6, 7, 8 GPSs in them. And we're able to then confiscate them, may or may not make an arrest depending on what we can do that night, but we can definitely follow up and investigate that property. That's another important reason people need to report this, so we can develop our patterns, track that property, and see where we're going to go with where the case is going to take us.
And it's funny you talk about traffic enforcement. That's one of the major complaints that the police department receives, not only from a call for service standpoint, but also I know our lieutenants in our uniform division, commanders, and even administration. That is one of the largest complaints we receive from residents, is the speeding cars in the subdivision. I think it's important for people to recognize that we're not always issuing citations in those situations. We do issue citations as a result of traffic enforcement because our number one responsibility is protection of life and safety, and traffic enforcement does save lives. We literally have one of the lowest traffic fatality rates in the world in Oakland County. But more importantly, equally as important, I think, is saving lives, is also protecting that property. And by making those traffic stops, the officers see when there might be stolen property in that car, and I think that's so very important.
The bad guys driving around are going to see the stops too. And they're like, I'm not going to hang out in this area. When we were doing surveillance, we would arrest people, and they were like, oh, this is Novi? Word's out.
Where are we seeing most of our vehicles broken into in terms of our larceny from auto complaints?
Right out of people's driveways.
Okay.
Is the most common.
And then oftentimes we may have a few reports in some of our shopping venues?
Yes.
Okay. What are we working on with some of our partners at 12 Oaks Mall? I know we talk about some of the technology that's out there. I know we've been very successful in utilizing some of their digital video surveillance system. Can you talk a little bit about how effective that can be and what residents should know about that?
It can be very effective. If we develop a suspect and we get information on someone, we will give that information to mall security. This is what we're looking for. These are dates, times that we've been, the larcenies have occurred. Watch for this blue pickup truck. And they start seeing blue pickup trucks, and they're zooming right in on them. Where they'll read the license plate number first, then back off. And they've actually filmed bad guys committing crimes.
And I know we had an incident earlier in the spring where we had an individual driving a white Chevrolet, I think it was a crew cab pickup, and that individual was actually committing crimes in Livonia, Farmington Hills, but ultimately was here in Novi where he was apprehended as a result of having that video, and that's so very, very important for us.
Very important. It makes a solid case at court.
We only have a few minutes left, so what are some of the tips you have for the residents, just to recap, in terms of protecting their GPS units, their iPods, their phones, their laptops, their purses?
Please don't leave any items in your car. Take it inside with you, lock it in the trunk of your car, keep it out of sight so no one can see it, and lock your car.
Turn on outdoor exterior porch lights?
Turn on your outdoor lights. keep an eye on things. Listen. If you hear a loud noise at night, call us.
We'll come and check it out.
We'll check it out.
Well, Detective Wilson, thank you for joining us here on the briefing room. We appreciate the tips and advice that we give. We look forward to you working in your new chapter here as an investigator in District 2 here in the city of Novi. Have every confidence you'll continue to do an outstanding job. And to you, the video viewing audience, thank you for tuning into the briefing room once again. And for all of our viewers, continue to watch Novi Television. Stay tuned.